Hey Jesse, how's it going? Good to see you. Or at least your name in the chat. I'm gonna try not to say as much tonight. That's a goal for me. So, I'm going to do some social media broadcasting to the world that I am live, and then we can get started. We're going to be talking about self care tonight, self care for individuals seeking mental health counseling, self care for individuals who are not, just people living, and there's another We will also be talking about mental health professionals and other healthcare professionals seeking self care. Does that also include mental care? It sure can. It can. Self care can be part. Well, let me rephrase that. Mental health counseling can be part of self care. Sometimes within mental health counseling, the goal or an assignment that a counselor may give may include a client seeking self care. So, we're going to talk about what self care looks like all across the board. So, let me go ahead and do some tweeting, and then we will proceed. All right. So Jesse, how have you been? Start off casually tonight. It's been a while. I didn't get to hop on to stream yesterday, so take that time to catch up with a pretty prevalent member of my community, I would say. Just got back home from college. Class ended late. What class were you in? Intermediate acting. Nice. I definitely know that you have been taking a lot of acting classes, right? Because you have a major in theater. That's really, really awesome. I was at a training on Friday for the agency that I work for, and we learned about a client from a long time ago who had a job goal of becoming an actor. He was a young man with Down syndrome, and through the type of work that we do, our agency helped determine, well, if you like acting and you like movies, we could get you a job working in an environment where there's movies and things like that. And then, years later, he's the star of a movie. So, you never know, you never know where you could end up, just working through your goal and to your goal. We're going to get started here in just a moment. How's college overall for you? Hey Joe, how's it going, man? Hey Joe. Um, I know, I like it actually. I had seen like kind of a lot of uh what's the word I'm looking for? And I'm trying to not say my dad's going to see this and critique me. Dad, if you're watching, I'm really trying. It's not working well. Change equals bad. You don't like it. Okay. Oh, okay. There was just like a lot of, you know, quick retort, I think is not the word I'm looking for, but we're going to go with it, about the color scheme and everything. I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. So, Joe, if you don't know what we're doing here, I am saying the word I'm trying not to. Me saying it every time, me saying I'm saying it every time I'm saying it will hopefully make me stop saying it. Uh, my goal for this, however long I'm here, is to just talk about mental health as a professional in a casual way. So tonight I'm going to be focusing on talking about self-care, self-care for professionals, self-care for just people who are not even necessarily clients, just people. Everybody needs self-care, and then also self-care for clients and what those things look like, how they overlap. And there's a lot of overlap because we're all people and we're all just trying to establish being happy and utilizing self-care. So tonight we're going to be talking about that. Jesse and Joe, feel free to interject in the stream as we're going. And we will, all right, you guys got to help me. I got to stop saying and That's the goal. So, interject, ask questions. I will do my best to answer them. And I'm looking forward to it. I have this really cool, I just got a Netflix notification on my phone. I've never gotten that before. Cool. Okay. And my phone is, I need you to work. Okay. So I found this really cool graphic that I want to read off to you guys. In future iterations, I will have a screen that will allow me to look at my computer screen, but I don't have that right now. So I'm going to read this off to you. It's a really cool graphic that I found. I've actually not necessarily heard of the 8 areas of self-care, but I really like how they break it up because I think when we talk about self-care, there's no one right way to experience self-care. There's a lot of ways to experience self-care. So by splitting it up into different categories, people might say, oh, that sounds like something that better suits me and the way that I want to experience self-care. Whether you're a client seeking mental health counseling or some sort of mental health treatment, whether you're a professional, a healthcare professional or a mental health care professional providing the treatment, and whether you're just somebody out in the world, maybe you've received mental health counseling before, maybe you haven't, but maybe you're just hitting a time in your life where you need to take a breath and slow down and treat yourself. I say that with my clients. I'm not even just saying it because it's a pop culture reference. I'm saying it because I say it with my clients all the time. I will sometimes say, have you seen the show Parks and Rec? If you haven't, watch it. It's hilarious. Don't tell anyone that your counselor recommended it. Just kidding. It's a great show. But watch it because there's a lot of really good self-care topics and moments that you can get from that show. Anyway, so the 8 areas of self-care. This is a graphic I found. There's some sort of credit on here and I can't read it. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Habitsforwellbeing.com. This is where I'm getting this from. So this graphic reads, self-care, activities and practices we engage in on a regular basis to reduce stress and enhance our well-being. And that's hey Sinful. Come on, fam, you're a therapist. I am a counselor, a therapist. Yes, I am. Welcome. Come on, fam. Welcome to the stream. So, anyway, so it's just, that was from someone unknown, just someone who gave this definition of self-care. So, the 8 categories that are on this graphic include physical self-care, psychological self-care, emotional self-care, social self-care, financial self-care, spiritual self-care, environmental self-care, and professional self-care. So these are the 8 areas of self-care that I've come across on this graphic. Before we get into those, I'm going to pause because as I'm definitely in the right place. Awesome. Can we see this graphic from somewhere? Yes. What I will do, you know what? First of all, I can, it's funny. You know what? Hold on. Actually, I'm gonna tweet this, or I'm gonna put this as a link in my chat so that you guys can go check it out. But before we do that, what I want to say, I'm going to try and do better at implementing this at the beginning of the stream. Chris, my man, thank you so much. Appreciate the follow, dude. It's good to see you. I want to quickly go ahead and say that, yes, I am a therapist. I have a mental health counseling master's degree. But in this forum, I'm here to just provide information. I'm not offering advice. I'm not telling somebody how to seek treatment. I'm just psychoeducating. I'm providing a way for people to learn. So, if you are somebody who's experiencing mental health symptoms or you're looking for treatment, I strongly encourage you to look for treatment in the resources in wherever you're living, where you have the ability to do so. But I am not here to provide treatment or any sort of therapy in this forum. So if you do have questions about what the topic is, if you have anything that you want to ask about, if you have a comment, if you have some sort of anecdote about your experience with self-care, plop it in the chat and I'm happy to read it and we can discuss it and implement it. But just keep in mind, I'm not here to provide therapy. I'm going to say that at the beginning of every stream just because I want people to know what this is going to be and what it's not going to be. Anyway, so... Oh, Deadly, thank you, man. Is that Amanda Holiday? Whose is that? I don't know who that is, but kudos to you for using it. Joe, have you done this night before? Yes, I did one 2 weeks ago. It was my first one. And it was really awesome. I just sort of talked about what therapy is, who can benefit from watching a stream like this, and other topics of that nature. Just what therapy is, who can benefit from therapy, from this type of stream, etc. It is on YouTube. One thing, oh man, I meant to do this before this evening, is update my Moobot. Slayer Rage, good to know, mental note. And I meant to update my bot so that you could do a exclamation point YouTube, which you cannot do right now, do a command for YouTube. But I did post my first episode on YouTube. Spoiler alert, you need to fast forward about 8.5 minutes because I didn't know how to edit. So to get through my starting soon screen, if you go about 8 minutes, you'll get to where I start talking. And then this episode will also be on YouTube as well. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to share this in the chat. Like I said, I don't have a screen set up to like show my computer, but I'm going to do that. Yeah. Okay. Joe, I just read that. Also, you're not stepping on any toes. That's great. I'm into it. I'm going to do that. I'm also going to make you a mod in my channel so you can help me. But that's awesome. No, that's a totally great recommendation. Thank you for that. You're the man. Okay. I'm going to plop this into the chat. So Come On Fam writes, I actually do have, I guess, a hot take on therapy, simplest way to put it. Hey, Heather. So I guess this is the perfect place for me to voice that. Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. I super appreciate you following directions. Yeah. Come on, fam. You absolutely can ask any questions and voice any opinions. But on the same token, I have, I can hear what you're saying and I can comment on it or not. So go ahead and talk about whatever you wanted to talk about. I guess I have some demons, to say the least, without getting too deep. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that a lot of people experience. See if that worked. I just posted a link. See if that works, because that was the graphic that I was going to go over. or that I was going over. So again, what we're going to talk about tonight is self-care. And self-care can look like a lot of different things. So the first one on this list is physical self-care. And if you guys look on that link, and again, in the future, I'm continuing to update and upgrade my stream every week. I'm going to do a better job of having a scene in my Streamlabs here where I can go to my internet and show you this as I'm talking. I'm not there yet. So, thanks, Joe. Physical self-care. Physical self-care involves movement of the body, health, nutrition, sleep, rest, physical touch, and sexual needs. So physical self-care, as I just read, can be a lot of different things. And everybody needs physical activity in their life in many capacities. If any of you guys, awesome, thanks, Joe. If any of you guys participate in physical self-care, throw it in the chat. Let's talk about that. I know I definitely do, both as Rachel, myself, and as Rachel, counselor self. I try and go walking twice a day. I have the luxury to do that. And I go walking twice a day for 15 minutes each time. So about 30 minutes a day while I'm at work. I say, all right, I'm going to take my 15-minute break in the morning and in the afternoon, and I go walking. And sometimes, well, I'm in Florida, so it's hot. And sometimes I sweat it out, and it makes me feel really good to like get that negative energy out, some of that I may have that day, out through this simple form of exercise. Walking, by the way, is the best type of exercise that you can do. I'm not kidding. Just walking for 10 minutes a day at a brisk pace can increase your heart health and things like that. So the self-care, it's at all angles. So my biggest issue with therapy is that I've been referred to therapy throughout my life, and I went to therapy a lot, mainly on the basis of needing to better myself. But the problem is I've always been very self-aware of what's wrong with me, so I can explain my issues very well. Through therapy, I've learned that I'm just being told things I know already and mainly seek for answers, but I can never seem to get that to the point where I felt like therapy really isn't helpful for me. And that's okay. That's part of the learning process about what type of treatment works for you. So, there's a lot of other things out there that may be beneficial to help you deal with the things that you have going on in your life. So some of these self-care techniques, while, not necessarily being overseen by a professional, you can implement them into your life, and maybe they'll help you sort through some of the things happening. I think this is a stream that's going to get walls of text, no worries. Yeah, absolutely. Just keep in mind, like I said before, any walls of text that you put, everybody can see them. So I appreciate that you kept it vague and that you're, respecting yourself and not wanting to give too much information. So the main point is am I doing something wrong in the sessions, or am I searching for the wrong things? I can tell people the what and how, but I can't figure out how to cope. Come on, fam. I can't really comment on if you're doing the wrong thing or the right thing when it comes to experiencing therapy. What I can tell you is that if therapy is something that you want to pursue and you want to get something out of, it'll click when it's right. So if it is something that you want to do, only you can make the decision to keep doing it. But I appreciate you sharing that and asking about it. So going back to the 8 areas of self-care, we were talking a little bit about physical self-care. I was mentioning that I do walking as much as I can, especially during my work day. I'm in an office all day. I'm sitting in front of a computer. I'm looking at the computer screen, artificial light. So getting outside is kind of like a reset. Something else that I do that is not necessarily related to self-care, but the reason I fit the walking in as self-care is through my experience with therapy. I've learned to split my days up into not really quadrants, but sections. So I have the morning section, then I have the afternoon, and then I have the evening. So if I can make it through the morning, then I can say, okay, the morning's done, we're moving on. If I can make it to the afternoon, which I usually can, I always do, I'm still here, then I say, okay, let's focus on the afternoon, and that's the only thing that matters right now. I'm going to focus on my day from 12 to 5. Then 5 o'clock comes and the afternoon's gone, and then I focus on my day from 5 to the rest of the night. Because once I'm home, it's a little bit of a different story. But work, it can build up. It can be stressful. So for me, by splitting the days up, I'm implementing self-care by taking things chunks at a time instead of the entire day. By adding in walking, I'm increasing my self-care even more. I'm making sure that I'm stepping away from what I'm doing. I'm implementing the exercise. I'm adding to my health, and I'm allowing my brain to recharge. How does anybody in the chat, does anyone in chat do anything related to physical self-care, and how? And yeah, Joe's absolutely right. That definitely can be frustrating when you're trying to implement something good into your life and it's not necessarily working the way that you want it to. There's definitely some things on this list when it comes to self-care that I've tried implementing into my life that were like, dude, I'm just trying to have a good time. And it's not working. It's super frustrating. I know also some of my clients, I've talked to a lot of clients about, hey, what can we do to implement some self-care into your life? What do you like doing for your hobbies? That's one of the first questions I ask new clients. What are your hobbies? Oh, I like video games. I get that a lot. Oh, I like exercise. I like cooking. I like gardening. I get a lot of, actually, I'm not even lying, a lot of really cute old people who love gardening. And, when they're really they're falling on some tough times, the type of clients I'm working with, they're not employed, they're seeking employment, they're not sure how to get it. We talk about, well, how can you implement these hobbies into your life to help you reestablish some sort of routine, to help you feel better about yourself, to help remind you that there are really cool things that you're able to do. To go off on a tangent a little bit, something that gets a bad name a lot is, go figure, video games. Well, I'm a gamer, so it's easy for me to be like, whoa, video games are great. Well, they are great. They're sometimes not great, but they are great. And when I have clients who all they've done for their life, because maybe they're younger and they haven't had many experiences, when all they do is play video games, yeah, it can seem like, well, I don't know how to do anything. I just play video games. Well, what skills have you built from video gaming? There's something to learn there. There's something to say, well, look, I'm really good at puzzles in these video games. That probably means that person's very analytical and can think logistically. So let's build upon that. So Joe writes, I try to walk sometimes, but it's hard and I hate the heat. Yeah, here's a life hack. And I've told this to clients before who've given me the same line. And again, this is something I've said to clients, but this is a personal Rachel thing that personal Rachel learned from her grandmother. Sometimes, instead of walking outside, if you live near a mall, if you do like 2 laps around a mall, you're doing probably close to a mile worth of walking. It's indoors. It's air conditioned, probably. And yeah, there's probably a cool store or two that you can hop into and look for, I don't know, Funko Pops or something that someone collects too many of. They're up in the corner and you can't see them. Maybe I'll bring them on stream another time. But try, if you like walking, but it's too hot, I totally get it. Try walking around a mall or somewhere indoors where you can get a lot of steps in that you'll also enjoy. There's like a double benefit. Heather, I know everyone by first name. Heather writes, sewing. It allows me to have a little control, and I get to hold something, I think, that brings a smile to my face. That's awesome. I think that's what you meant, hold, right? And I get to hold something that brings smiles to my face. Just mold? Is it mold? Hold? We'll find out. But yes, hold or mold. And like mold as in shape, not mold as in like gross stuff that grows. Build. We were still wrong. But mold also is like a synonym of build, so it works. Yeah. But no, that's awesome. So right here, that pointing's going well. Those are hand-sewn gifts from her. So she does know how to sew and stuff things. Also, side note, because of how I know Joe, I don't know if you can tell, Joe, but these little these little doohickeys are, I can't do this backwards. Okay, this way, this way. These little doohickeys, these ghosts from Destiny. This one right here, if you look hard enough, I don't know how big the screen is. The eye, the center, is a Cerberus logo. Yes, you got it before I even said it. And the bottom one is red, white, and black for... Come on, Joe. Don't leave me hanging. Yes, sir. It's funny. Boom, baby, that's it. So those were handmade for me. I've kept them over a long period of time, and they're still with me. So anyway, but that's it, right? Like, that's the beauty of self-care. I think another stream, honestly, the next one I should do, I had an idea, but as I'm talking about this, these self-care topics, these 8 ways to experience self-care, also remind me of many different ways that people can experience and learn coping skills. So, for example, one of the coping skills that I know of is self-love, but you can't give yourself love, or excuse me, is what is it called? Oh no, I'm blanking. It's basically like being able to be kind to others. But anyone will tell you, and yeah, it's an idiom, and yeah, it's a little cliche, anyone will tell you that you can't really be kind to others until you're kind to yourself. So practicing self-care allows you to sew cute ghosts from Destiny that have the shape and colors of Mass Effect stuff until you love yourself and give yourself that time. So, wait, I saw that... Okay, so Joe writes, yeah, on bad days, though, I don't want to drive. Also, I live in a touristy city and too many people. I feel that. But it's just an idea. So if you're really getting that urge to walk and it's too hot or it's too cold, there's indoor places where you can do that. So number 2 on this list was, or is, because it exists, psychological self-care. Psychological self-care involves learning new things, applying consequential thinking, engaging intrinsic motivation, practicing mindfulness, and creativity. Ooh, that one's kind of trippy. I like it. It's definitely a great idea. I'm just being a butt, pointing out all my personal hangups. Hey, that's a quality, honestly. If you can say, you know what, here's my flaws, here's what's limiting me, I'm going to own it. Maybe you're still participating in a behavior that you're not super into, but at least you know about it. That's the first step. So many people have behaviors that are so wiggity whack and negative, and they don't even know that they're doing it. And that's where some holdup comes from in leading themselves to positive change. So again, psychological self-care involves learning new things, applying consequential thinking, kind of like what we just talked about, engaging intrinsic motivation, practicing mindfulness, and creativity. I guess I'm quite self-aware in my ways. It's a blessing and a curse. I feel that really hard, man. I feel that really hard. So psychological self-care, I'm actually kind of surprised, and I don't think this is listed in a particular order, but if I were to list the ability for many to achieve psychological self-care, I think that would be one of the harder ones for people to achieve. And not because people are incapable of doing it, but it seems similar to me as that idea of what we call within psychology and within therapy is self-actualization. Self-actualization is really the ultimate goal for clients, is being able to say, this is a thing, kind of like what we're talking about. This is a thing. It affects me like this. I don't want it to, and I know how to say, oh, this is happening, and I know how to deal with it. That's a really hard thing for a lot of people to do. It's not easy. And because it's not easy, I'm fixing something on my screen to make my life easier. Because it's not easy, that's why people go to therapy, so they can say, this thing happens to me, it makes me feel like garbage, and I don't know how to deal with it. Or this is not transference, this is a positive reason people might go to therapy, but I'm getting married and I'm really happy about it, but it's really stressful and I just need some assistance going through this transition. People go to therapy to help them learn ways to self-actualize. That's the secret to therapy. Don't tell anyone that I just told you guys that. Where is this thing that I'm looking for? Hold the phone. Maybe it was in this. It was. Okay, I'm just going to turn this on so my phone doesn't go off. Okay. No. Okay, good. So, okay, back to psychological self-care. I really like what it says here about learning new things. I think that learning new things is a really cool way to experience self-care. Jesse says, still here, my mother needed help with taking out the trash. Jesse, you're a stand-up dude, and I super appreciate that you did that for your mom, and I'm not even kidding around. I think that's great. I love when people help their parents out. I'm a big parent fan. So kudos to you for helping your mom. Welcome back. We're talking about psychological self-care, and I'm really honing in right now on this idea of learning new things and how that can be self-care for people. This is a weird anecdote, but I think it fits. So when I was in college, I worked at a movie theater, and I was working at the customer service desk, and sometimes we'd sell tickets there if it was really crowded out in the box office. And this gentleman walked up to me, and he was an older dude, and I said, hey, what movie do you want to see, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any military ID or anything for discount? And he said, I'm a student. And I said, okay, well, if you're a student, I do need to see a student ID. And he laughed, and he stood, he was like leaning on the desk, and he said, I'm a student of life. And I laughed. I love a good joke. It was a great answer. And I gave him a discount because it was a really good answer. It was so funny. It literally took me by surprise, and I was super into it. But I think there's honestly something really cool about being a student of life. When you open your mind to learning new things, whether it's a new skill or a new piece of knowledge or meeting a new person and getting to know about them, you learn more about yourself. You learn more about what you like. You learn more about what you don't like. And when you learn more about those things, you get to say to yourself, wow, that makes me feel good. Look at this stuff I just learned about. It's awesome. It's as easy as finding a new genre of video games. It's as easy as finding a new book that you like. It's as easy as learning a new language and saying, whoa, French is beautiful, and I wish that I could speak it all the time. I don't know French, but it would be really cool if I did. Jesse writes, my mother told me one time that I was able to live alone if I find my own house one day due to my disability. I want to ask you if you can clarify on what she meant. I wasn't able to live alone. I think that that's a really complicated situation that I don't have enough information to comment on because I don't know the specifics about your disability. And this really isn't a forum for me to comment about it. I do think that if talking about independence and accommodations and learning about what it means to be an adult with a disability and to live on your own, you can message me about that and we can add that to a later topic. But I don't really have enough information or, the right, if you will, to try and discern what your mom means in that moment, or in that instance, excuse me. So if you have a mental health counselor or someone who you're working with, you could ask them and they might have a better opinion, or not even opinion, but better insight since you probably know them better. So, but I thank you for asking, and I value that you think that I would have good feedback. In a different situation, I might, but in this forum, during this type of conversation, I don't think I do. But I do value and appreciate that you asked. So anyway, I think that I love that, learning new things. Something I really like about this is that I'm learning new things too about self-care. I don't know if I, before this moment, would have ever thought that learning something new would be a form of self-care. I really think that's cool. So a huge one in here that I see for psychological self-care is probably the type of psychological self-care I see the most, both with or amongst a variety of populations, my friends, clients, professionals, etc. Which is practicing mindfulness and creativity. Sewing was already brought up. That's a form of creativity. Art. A lot of people participate in art as a form of self-care and experiencing, taking a lot of maybe negative emotion and putting it into an art piece and feeling relieved after getting it out in that way. And then also mindfulness, that's huge right now within the world of therapy and within just the world, with yoga and meditation. There's mindfulness apps. A group that I used to work with very closely is Project Guardians, and they are a group of gamers who are also different types of professionals within the community. And they one time had this amazing list of people, of apps that were specifically designed to help provide mindfulness skills. So there are a ton of apps on Android, on Apple, that you can download and utilize to help learn new mindfulness skills. Joe writes, I've got a bunch of coloring books, LOL. Heck yeah. Coloring books are awesome. The same person, and I just found this. Where did it go? Where did I put it? Hold on. This is very important. Aha. Joe, this gets better. Okay. Coloring books. Sinful I see you, but hold on, we're going to talk about coloring books. The same person who sent me, I'm going to do this again, these, also, a long time ago, sent me this. Let me frame that better. There we go. Yeah, heck yeah. So I've never colored it, but there's like, oh my God, yeah, isn't it though? Discover new friends. You think this is probably... Exploring the galaxy is super adventurous. You meet all kinds of new people and things. This alien wants to be your friend. Find out who he or she is by connecting the dots. You think it's Javik? Is that how you spell his name? Or say his name? I never had his DLC, so I don't know. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's a lot of things I have. But yeah, so. Anyway. Coloring books, I'm with you. Coloring books are great too. When I was in grad school, I interned at a inpatient hospital, and we had groups like 5 times a day in the one unit I was in. We had a lot of groups. We had to keep these patients busy and help them learn new things before they were no longer inpatient. One of the groups, I literally just handed these clients like pages from a coloring book, and I said, pick colors that represent how you're feeling. There was a lot of red, but I think it really helped them. They kind of started kind of viciously and felt maybe a lot of anger because of the environment they were in, but it ended up being really, really beneficial. I think that there's something really magical, truly. It sounds a little nerdy, but something truly magical about coloring and getting your emotion out in that way. So creativity, mindfulness is huge. Okay, I skipped over Sinful, who wrote, I personally used to write poetry or stories related to how I was feeling just to get out in a way I was comfortable with. Sinful? That's amazing. I totally love that, and I think that's great and super impressive that you're able to say, this is what works for me, and I'm going to use it as a creative outlet to experience the things that I'm feeling. So that's awesome, dude. I'm super pleased, and thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. I'm going to move on from psychological self-care, but if anybody thinks of anything that they do that is related to physical or psychological self-care, please share. Joe, if you still have that link and you want to repost it, actually it might not let you. Hold on, wait, can I do something? No, I don't know how to do it. Hold on. Everybody just wait for a second. I don't know how to make you a mod right now. But when I do. Here, wait, I know how to do it. Hold on, I have the power. Waiting, holding. Hey, look at that. So for anybody new following along, I'm reading off of this graphic that I found that goes through the 8 areas of self-care. We've worked through the first 2. I'm going to move on to emotional self-care. So I'm going to go ahead, that's number 3. I'm going to read what that says, which is, emotional self-care involves enhancing emotional literacy. navigating emotions, increasing empathy, managing stress effectively, and developing compassion for self and others. So that's kind of actually something I associated earlier with psychological self-care, but I guess it's being sort of redirected to this emotional self-care since, affection is technically an emotion and compassion and the whole thing. If you are doing a podcast and releasing it on Spotify and other music apps, I can listen to it for days. So my first episode, Jesse, is on YouTube. So you can find it on my channel, which is not currently if Chris is here, he's going to do this again. It's currently not a command, but if you scroll down beneath my stream or you go to my info section, there should be a header that links directly to my YouTube. And then you can find the last episode that I did of this segment there. And yeah, there he is. Chris, right on time, buddy. That was awesome. But if I can eventually figure out how to even put things on Spotify, I'm totally not against that. But for now, everything is just on YouTube. So Jesse, hit up my YouTube. So, emotional self-care. Emotional self-care, like I said, involves enhancing emotional literacy. So, emotional literacy. Does anyone have an idea of what emotional literacy is? I'll give it a few seconds. If not, I'll read the definition, because there's no way I was going to define it as good as Google can. Spoiler alert. I'm not above looking things up on Google. Okay, so emotional literacy is the term used to describe the ability to understand and express feelings. So it goes beyond just knowing what emotion is, but more so knowing when somebody is experiencing a certain kind of emotion and when you are experiencing a certain kind of emotion and how to express that emotion. So if you're sad, it's just expressing sadness in a healthy way. Sometimes many people get sad and they don't like that they're sad, so they get angry and it comes out as anger instead of sadness. And that can be dangerous. So allowing yourself to experience sadness the right way, or anger the right way, or happiness the right way, or X emotion here the right way, you're actually engaging in a type of self-care. I lost my graphic because I'm doing it in this goofy way. Next time I'm going to have a little screen so you can see what I'm looking at. Don't worry, it's on my to-do list. So, just by exercising, experiencing emotions, or accepting emotions. Sometimes when our partners or our family or our really close friends are experiencing sadness, it can be really overwhelming and we're likely to shut down and not want to go there with them. When actually going there with them, is going to help them experience their emotion and also help us feel better about being around people when they're experiencing emotion, and therefore leading to self-care, being able to be happy and healthy while experiencing that. So that kind of goes into navigating emotions and increasing empathy. I'm going to pause on empathy because part of what I wanted to talk about was self-care for everyone. People in mental health counseling, people who provide mental health counseling, and then those individuals who are just living happily, or not, but are not in mental health counseling. So I want to make sure everyone's encompassed when we talk about self-care. Empathy is a huge piece of mental health counseling, of any type of counseling, of therapy. You can't provide therapy without experiencing empathy. It's the core of therapy. So if you are someone who's providing therapy and you begin to lose that sense of empathy that you may have for people because you're not giving yourself enough self-care, your ability to provide mental health counseling or that type of service may decrease, and your ability to do it well may slip, or your ability to do it at all could falter. So making sure that you keep ourselves, I'm going to count myself in this, making sure that we keep ourselves accountable for feeling empathetic and are allowing others to empathize with us or for us allows us to feel better about ourselves, feel more confident, and be able to do our jobs, whether we're mental health counselors or not. being in touch with our emotions is, one of the purest forms of self-care that I think sometimes gets lost, because who has time to deal with emotions? I'm saying that a little sarcastically, but also a little seriously. A lot of people tell us, you don't have time to be sad right now. You need to go to work. You need to work. You can't take what happened at home this morning or with your parents or whoever with you to work or school. You have to shut those emotions down while you're doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. And yeah, that's a good skill to be able to do that, but sometimes you can't do that. And if you don't experience your emotions enough, your self-care and your balloon, right? Let's pretend we're balloons. If you don't give yourself enough self-care, your balloon is going to deflate. And you can't be a cute little balloon if you don't have any air in you. So managing stress effectively and developing compassion for self or others. I think that we've kind of talked about all of that. Making sure that you give yourself emotional self-care, allowing yourself. I can be a cute, saggy balloon. You know what's so funny? I'm going to interject. I think I talked about this in another stream that I was a guest on. But I tried to use the balloon analogy with one of my clients. And I said, what happens if, you're a balloon and the balloon deflates? And this client said, well, then I would just be on the ground. And I just was like, you would, you really would be. And it didn't go over as well. But thank you, Joe. You at least are okay with being a cute, saggy balloon. And Jesse, that's an awesome way to talk about the metaphor, which is, or a helium balloon as if you're flying. Yes, I want everybody to be a helium balloon so they can fly and be happy. It didn't go over because it was a deflated balloon. That's good. You shush. Don't make me revoke your moderator status that I haven't even input yet. But yeah, Jesse, that's awesome. A helium balloon is a really, really, that's like the self-actualized ending that I hope for all of my clients, is this ability to be strong and just, flying high in the sky. Okay, so moving on from emotional self-care, and like I said, at any time, if you want to go back to one of the topics that we're discussing, please just put it in the chat and we can go backwards. It's okay. So number 4 is one that I find really interesting because I considered myself to be really, really social, and I get really attached to the people that I have in my life. So socializing, even though there's times I like to be alone, socializing is a really, really important way for me personally to feel like I'm taking care of myself. So number 4 on this list, social self-care reads, social self-care involves having a supportive group and network of relationships around you whom you trust and turn to when required. Having caring and supportive people around you builds a sense of belonging and connectedness. I don't think I could say it any better than that. I think that really sums it up. Humans are social beings. As I mentioned, there's really nice times to be by yourself, and there's a lot to be gained from being comfortable being alone and valuing that alone time that we may experience. But having a social group that you can turn to and be yourself with and have that connection with is just one of those things that really rejuvenates us, literally from our cores, just throughout the entirety of our bodies. I mentioned when we were talking about physical self-care that I go walking. Something that we've started implementing in our office is this Steps to Hollywood, where a group of us, not all of us in the office I work in, but a group of us have said we are going to log our steps every week as if we're walking to Hollywood. And once we get there, we're going to have a Hollywood themed party. That's combining a lot of different types of self-care. I won't go through the physical self-care stuff that includes, but that's implementing that social self-care. Even if okay. I'm so bad at getting a DM and not responding to it right away. That's stunning. The person who I'm responding to knows what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of different self-care aspects when it comes to a group activity that involves other things, right? So I'm not going to go into the physical stuff, as I said, but at first, we were a group of people who were combining all of our steps, and we were saying, oh, good, we've gotten from here to this part of Florida, and then from here to this area, and then from here to this area. But what we started doing is saying, hey, do you want to go for a walk right now? Would you like to join me outside for a walk for the next 10 to 15 minutes? Yeah, I would. Okay. So it's establishing social interaction when maybe we've been alone in our offices for the last 3 hours or for the first 3 hours of our day, of our morning. Hey, you know what? Let's go for a walk. Let's engage with one another. Let's enjoy the sunlight. Let's go walking. Let's rejuvenate. So I'm super into the social stuff. I think also, too, people are really quick to be like, well, what's your family like? What's your support like at home? I'm very lucky, and I have a really supportive family, a really tight knit group of people. But I also recognize not everyone has that. So a really good way to make sure that your social self-care is high is to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who love you and care about you, whether it's the family you were given or the family that you make. Experiencing social self-care is what you make it. It's who you want to engage with. I experience social self-care in a lot of different ways, whether it's my partner, whether it's my parents, whether it's my brother, whether it's my best friends, whether it's the people I work with, whether it's my nerdy clan, Chaos Engineers, what's up? Regardless of who my social self-care or where it's coming from, it's with people who I know have my back. There's always someone who has your back. They're out there. You got to find those peeps if you can. So number 5 is one that when I first read it, when I was looking at this, what is this called? This figure, I guess, earlier. Whoa, Blackjack Ken has resubscribed. Okay, by the way, for 22 months, she writes, heart, doing good work here, friend, which I know you guys can read, but it tickles me to death when Blackjack Kent. Look, Blackjack Kent has the Widowmaker sub badge. That's so funny. I love it, dude. You're officially a Widowmaker. Welcome. Welcome. So, thank you, Roz. You're amazing. Thank you so much. 22 months. Wowza, enchanté. That's it. I have not played Overwatch in so long. I played with my brother, I think, that's a lie. I played with my brother like 2 weeks ago, and we had not played in a long time. So we're loading up for a quick play, and it's like, choose your role. And I was like, oh my god, I forgot they did the role lock. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like I forgot how to play. I thought it was great. I just haven't played in a long time. Widow is amazing. One of these days, I gotta get all of my Funko Pops on screen. I have all 3 versions of Widowmaker, and those ladies are in the box. But there's the regular Widow, the default skin. There's the wintry one, not the skiing one, but the original white winter one, and then there's the gold patina skin. Oof, took me a long time to get that one. That was a grail of mine for a long time, and I finally got it. Anyway, financial self-care was one that stood out to me because I hadn't really thought about it being something that would be considered part of self-care. So this one reads, financial self-care involves being responsible with your finances. For example, living expenses, income, insurances, savings, and having a conscious relationship with money. I think that is so accurate of the way that people want to have a relationship with money, and so many people don't know how to. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate the Blackjack Kent wave here. Wait. Solid. I think that financial self-care and knowing how to have a relationship with money that doesn't feel anxious is a really hard concept for so many people. I have a lot of my client base currently is a little bit biased because everybody I'm working with 99% of my clients don't have employment. That's why they're coming to see me. But even people I know in my personal life have this really tough time balancing, how can I be happy when I have all these bills to pay? Or how am I supposed to enjoy this thing that I really want to enjoy when I have all this anxiety about the money that I'm spending, or the money that I need to budget, or the money that I need to save for X, Y, and Z. Back before, when I said that I think psychological self-care so far is still what I think to be one of the hardest things to master, along with emotional self-care. I'm going to couple those two things. I think they're fairly similar. I think that financial self-care is a surface level type of self-care group, but one of the hardest for so many people. I think this is really hard for so many people to understand, grasp, manage, and implement. I just think money is something that isn't talked about enough casually. And I think it's one of those things that's a little bit taboo, and people grow up fearing the idea of money and spending money, instead of being like, here's how we're just going to talk about money, dudes. You know what I mean? So, Roz, I don't know if I have a lot of insight to offer about how to implement financial self-care, because as I mentioned, I'm just hearing about this idea for the first time as I'm reading through this, and I really kind of like it. Money's such a weird topic because no one talks about it, no one teaches us about it, and then we're out of the house and supposed to just know about it. Yes. In a little bit, can you share the link again? Yes, I can. Thank you. So that's the figure that I'm reading off of. I said this about 6 times already, but I'm going to implement a scene in my stream that is the screen. Probably not on the side because this is the wall, but the screen that I'm looking at. I'm going to try and do that. I know how to do it. I just haven't set it up for this. So anyway, but yes, totally. Something else that I've said to many clients, that I've said to my friends, that I've said to even to my parents is, I remember being in school. I was a good student. I really valued getting good grades and being like a nerd and a teacher's pet or whatever. And I really valued learning and getting and doing well in school. But, when I'm sitting in school and when I'm saying, okay, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do what I need to do to get a good job, nobody teaches you that going to college and exiting college doesn't mean that as soon as you exit college, you're going to get this great job and make a ton of money and you're never going to have to worry about anything. That got lost in translation for me somewhere. And I think that it got lost in translation for a lot of people, definitely around my age, and people who are younger than me. Because we see, the people that we see a lot are people who have all this money already. They've been working for a long time, but we forget that they've been working for a long time because no one reminds us, oh, these people have been working for a long time. And then they mock us for needing help adulting. Yeah, I know, because nobody actually explains to us what adulting is. So, as we continue to learn how to better manage our money, feel comfortable managing it, feel comfortable talking about it, we will feel better about it. It will be self-care for us. It will be, I'm comfortable with how much money I have or don't have, or spend or don't spend, or save or don't save, or whatever. So I love this. This is something I'm like, so far number 5 for me is the one that I've probably known the least about and really want to explore and see what research is out there about the relationship between our psyches, our mental health symptoms, and money. I know enough about mental health counseling to know that there's probably a very large number of people who experience a lot of things, a lot of feelings of anxiety and depression surrounded by money. But this idea of financial self-care is really intriguing to me. We're just going off of an outdated model. Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, I missed your first message, which was, historically, though, things have literally changed during our lives to make that way less likely anyway. It wasn't always like this. Absolutely. I mean, 100% true. I remember, and sorry, parents, if you're watching, but I remember saying to my parents, and my parents are both pretty insightful, so they recognize our generation is different than theirs, but I said that to them once, and I was like, I don't know where I thought this idea of like, I'm going to get my degrees and just be making a plethora of money came from. And my dad was like, well, it came from like the generations that came before you, because that's what happened. And I was like, well, The hell? Rude. So times are changing, and I think that there's a huge group of us who are feeling this unrest when it comes to finances because nobody actually knows how to deal with finances the way that we have to deal with it, because nobody's had to deal with it quite like this before. My historian self butted in. That's okay. You can butt in whenever you want. That's kind of what this is. So if anyone has anything else they want to add about how terrible financial self-care, please do. Or any of the previous 4 self-cares, please interject. Please be a history buff. Spiritual self-care. I run into this one a lot with clients. People are very spiritual. So this one reads, spiritual, I'm going to hold it up like this so I'm not like crouching over. Spiritual self-care reads that this involves the beliefs and values that are important to you and guide your life. This includes pursuing your noble goals and the practices that support you developing spiritual awareness. I think this is awesome. I think this goes very closely in hand with mindfulness. I think that a lot of people utilize mindfulness to access their spiritual selves. I'm actually someone, and I can self-disclose here happily, I don't particularly find myself to be very spiritual, so it's hard for me to connect to this one. But a lot of people are very spiritual, and they access their spirituality in a variety of outlets, whether it's, so this didn't even mention religion, but I think that definitely here in the US, people relate spirituality to their religion, and that's great. I think that religion is something that helps people take a step back and look at their lives in a different perspective and connect with something that's bigger than themselves. And it helps them set, what are my values, what are my goals, what are my beliefs, and how can I connect myself to that? But spirituality doesn't have to be related to religion at all. It can just be, as this says, I really liked this, what it said here, includes pursuing your noble goals and the practices that support you in developing this spiritual awareness. So it's really like getting in touch with what your morals are, what your ethics are, what type of person you want to be, and how you can achieve that. So, reflecting, recognizing, how can I find my center, and how can I emanate, is that the right word? What type of person I want to be to the world. By reflecting, by knowing who I am, by having a connection to something bigger than myself, I can love myself. I can treat myself with self-care. As you guys can tell, I don't have as much to say on that topic. Because it's not something I haven't heard before, like this financial self-care that I keep looking at with like stars in my eyes, like I want to learn more about it. But I think that's the beauty of this type of forum, is we can all start to learn about things that we haven't heard of before, or we can start to appreciate things that we don't put as much stock into. I think spiritual self-care is great, and there's a lot of people who benefit from it. I'm personally not one of those people. As a counselor, as a therapist, if I had someone come to me and ask, I want to work on my spiritual self-care, I would be able to help them, because that's my job, is to help them meet them where they're at and what they want, and help them meet the goals of what they want to achieve. So, yeah. Again, but at any time. So, number 7 on this list is environmental self-care. This one's probably really awesome, and probably so perfectly timed for what's going on in our nation's situation. We're not going to get into politics. Environmental self-care involves having an organized, well-maintained, and clutter-free work, business and home environment, having clean clothes, and a clean and well-maintained mode of transport. Also minimizing waste and monitoring technology time. I made it political and I didn't even need to. But I love this. I love environmental self-care and the way that it was written, because it wasn't what I expected, which I always really, really like. I've actually been participating in environmental self-care recently, and I didn't know about it until I read this nifty list. So you guys are experiencing me, a mental health professional, learn new things right in front of you. It's like an Us magazine. Mental health professionals, they're just like us. So recently, I have been Magic, exactly. With the asterisk included. Roz, okay, I don't know if you were in the stream. I have to show this again. I showed this to Joe. Number 8 will shock you. I know, I'm excited. Okay, so we were talking, Joe mentioned that he likes to color. I may have shown this to you like years ago, but I don't remember. So Joe was mentioning that he likes to color to relieve stress, and that like made me remember a thing that I have, and it's this. It's this coloring book. So I just wanted to show that to you because, you know, the reason. But yeah, so, oh my God. Okay, text or Discord me your address. Or, actually, I could bring this to my parents' house and scan it and email it to you if you want. Or, you mentioned that? I missed it. I totally missed that. You have an Overwatch coloring book? Joe, take pictures of it. I want to see it. Send me the Widow page. If there's a Brigitte page, send that to me too, and also Ash. Okay, moving on. So I can either scan this and email it to you, or I'm totally happy to even just make a copy of it and send you the copy, but I think the email may be better because then it won't get all crinkly. This one's not crinkly. The person who sent it did a really good job sending it. I don't trust myself. I think it was pre-Brigitte and def pre-Ash. Well, throw it out then. Just kidding. Wait till Roz isn't listening. Then throw it away because it's not worth it. Just kidding. Okay, environmental self-care. So recently, I was on the interwebs as... I'm just kidding, Roz. I'm just kidding. It was a joke. Recently, I was on the internet, per usual, and I saw that Dr. Lupo's wife, Mrs. Dr. Lupo, was posting stories on her Instagram called Lupo Men's Game. I was like, what the hell is this? And I was watching her video, so I knew what it was, but I didn't know why it was called that. So I looked it up, and it's called the Minimalism Game. And the way that the Minimalism Game works, let me see if I can English this properly, is for the calendar date that it is. So if it's September 1st, you remove one thing from your home. And then on September 2nd, you remove two things from your home. So she was doing that through August, I think. And I said to myself, I want to do that because my fiance and I have so much garbage that we don't even know we have. And I want to get rid of it. So for the last 26 days, I have been removing the number of items from my home that match the calendar day. Joe writes, I'd eat and just toss it. I'd cheat and just toss out garbage, like literal garbage. Yeah, so you probably could. I mean, if you have a huge buildup of garbage that you're not getting rid of, then yeah, you should count it because it's just sitting there taking up space. But see, Roz, you know what you could do is you could count the garbage bag as one thing. So I kind of made my own rules for myself. We also don't live in like a huge home, so eventually, like we have 3 rooms upstairs, 2 rooms and a bathroom, and then we have like our kitchen and a bathroom downstairs, and then like the laundry area and etc. And eventually, I kind of like ran out of like stuff to throw away, so I started changing my rules. But at the beginning, we have a ton of documents that we just like didn't need anymore, so I wasn't really counting the documents. But now that I'm, running out of stuff, which is great, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to count the documents. Like each document counts as an item. But it still counts because I'm getting all this clutter out of my house. And honestly, I feel lighter. My house feels cleaner. It's kind of a mess over here where you can't see because I hid everything. But I have a ton of stuff on the ground that I found that I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff exists. I want to keep it, but now I have a better way to store it. There's a closet over here that you guys can't see. When we moved in, we threw a ton of stuff in this closet, and we've been here for almost 2 years. It's been like a year and 3/4. This is the first time I've ever been able to see the wall in that closet since we moved here. I mean, it's just been so refreshing to make the environment that I live in cleaner. I've taken some stuff out of my car. I've I haven't really done my office too much. It's easier to keep my office clean just because, I'm seeing people in there, so it's clean. But there's probably things that I could throw in my office and I'd feel way better about it. So, keeping our environments clean, it shows us that we love ourselves enough to keep us in a clean environment. Dopey incentivized me by peeing on things. So I'm assuming you're talking about a cat or an animal and not the dwarf from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which I recently dressed up as Dopey, so it's really funny that that's your cat's name. I have pictures. I will not be showing them. I also don't have a cat, so I don't get to fit into the cat owner experience. Your cat is named Dopey. I figured so. I really like this, and for you guys who keep hearing me say like, oh, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, that's really awesome. That means I get to start using this in my personal life. This means that I get to have a name for what I've been doing. I've been cleaning. That's what I keep telling people. I keep cleaning. You know what? I think I might for the rest of the month, for the next 4 days, tell people, yeah, I've been cleaning, but I've been treating myself by cleaning my environment and giving myself a healthier, happier place to work. So that's just another way to experience self-care, is by keeping the area that you reside in, the areas that you spend the most time in, clean. Rad, I had no idea you did this. Hey, Nate. Yeah, this is my second episode. I had one a couple weeks ago. And I'm trying not to say as much. It's not going well. But thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I do this bi-weekly, so the next episode will be... Next week is the 3rd on Thursday. I wouldn't be doing one anyway because A, I'm playing Shadowkeep, and B, it's my fiance's birthday, and fancy, yeah. And then, so the week after that is the 10th, so the next one will be October 10th. If I can break away from Shadowkeep, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for stopping in, Nate. I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate the support. So anyway, yeah, environmental self-care. Just, there's a fellow on Queer Eye. His name's Tan France. He's my favorite. And when he's talking about self-appearance, he says, what does he? He says, well, and then I fail. But he says, be presentable. Show your partner that you're worthy of them, right? Well, show yourself that you're worthy of your space. Keep your space clean so that you can feel good in it, so you can feel happy in it, so that you can feel proud of it. My game room, I am looking at a mess over here, but this is one of the cleanest it's ever been. And now when I play video games in here, or I do this in here, I feel really proud of the amount of stuff that I've gotten out of this room. I literally feel like I'm breathing clean air. Then the last part of number 7, which is that environmental self-care, is minimizing waste and monitoring technology time. And this part of this is what I struggle with. And you don't have to find weird camera angles to avoid showing the mess on stream. Yeah, this is a fairly normal camera angle, but I also have this whole area of mess that you don't even know about unless I told you, which I've told you for like 3 different times. Oh, I'm getting pictures. Oh, Widow's so cute. Okay, anyway, moving on. So for me, limiting technology time is really tough, and I've struggled with it many, many times. How do I limit my technology time? How do I do that, but also still get to participate in the hobby that I'm very passionate about? I love playing video games. Sometimes I fall in and out of love of particular ones, but I spend a lot of time playing video games. A lot of the people in the chat know this, but I experience a lot of self-reflection and the ability to experience emotion through video games in a way that I would have never expected. I've been playing big kid video games for like almost 10 years. If you had asked me 10 years ago, or like even while I was in college, if I was going to be a gamer and advocating for video games, not that I didn't like video games, I had played some previously, but not like this. So it's hard for me to say, where do I draw the line when I'm seeing this conversation between Joe and Roz, and it's beautiful. I love it. I love the friendship. So, I struggle with how do I cut video games, or that's the main source of technology that I'm accessing. How do I cut that out of my life in a way that benefits me? Because playing video games is so important to me. It's that's really difficult for me to do. My fiance also plays video games, so we've talked about how we're trying to establish one day a week where we're not playing video games. It's easy to pick Thursdays because I have this now every other Thursday. We like watching football and football's on, so it's been easy, but it's also hard. He and I enjoy playing video games, and it's also hard to cut that thing out of your life that's a constant, that's a hobby, that's a present, or that's a presence. But I think that being able to step away from technology just gives you that extra capacity to turn inward, focus on your inflating and deflating balloon, and say, is the technology doing anything to benefit me? If so, then yeah, let's keep doing it. If not, if it's hindering me, okay, well then let's figure out a way to step away, show myself self-care by doing something that isn't going to be so detrimental. So we're going to move on to number 8 here. Yeah, Nate, awesome. Yeah, you set times for yourself. And I know a lot of the people in our clan do that for sure. I know he's not in here, and I don't really want to like call him out, but Neff I know is really good, and he's pretty vocal about it, with us, but he's really good at saying, I'm setting these times aside for my family, for my wife, for myself, and making sure that, things in my personal life are set before I enter into Destiny for however many hours, during the week. He doesn't play on the weekends usually, which I think is just like phenomenal. So a lot of the guys, and we're mostly guys, we are not, I'm not, but most of you guys are guys, and you guys do a really good job of managing what you got going on behind the screen, literally, and your game time. So kudos to all of you guys. So the last one is professional self-care. And my intention was to go about talking about these things a little bit differently, but I like how it all flowed together. But professional self-care involves sharing your strengths and gifts, having clear professional boundaries, it literally says whilst living your purpose. I like that. It's pretty short and sweet. But I think that, if I were to change anything, in my opinion, professional self-care is really making sure that you're taking care of yourself as a professional, regardless of whether you are a heart surgeon, a dishwasher, a mental health counselor, a web designer, any type of job that you could have. You're going to hit a point where you're feeling overwhelmed with your employment, where you're feeling like you've hit the ceiling when it comes to your profession. Being able to remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing, of, allowing yourself to take a step back and feel proud of yourself instead of feeling overwhelmed is showing yourself that self-care. And that's kind of what it says, sharing your strengths and gifts, reminding people, hey, I'm a really good web designer because let me show you how, instead of, I'm a web designer and everything's really stressful and I got to make all these things and do all these things and I don't have the time. Take a step back. Remind yourself of why you're so good at what you do. Again, this kind of goes back to what I talked about at the very beginning, the number 1, with physical self-care. I have to take a step back every single day, twice a day from what I'm doing, or it just gets too overwhelming. And it's not because I'm bad at my job or because it's like super, super hard work. It's not any of those things. It's just, I'm a professional, I'm a person, I'm a gamer, I'm a lady, I'm a fiance, I'm a bunch of different things. And if I were to let one area of my life take over all those other areas, I wouldn't be able to be a whole person. And all of these things, all 8 areas of self-care that we've talked about tonight, help us become that full person that we want to be. So at 10 p.m. when the dudes of KEG get on Xbox, in that moment they're a gamer, but they're able to be a gamer in that moment because they have the ability, they try hard to have the ability to be all these other roles back here. So this is just one example of how to discuss self-care. I found this and I really liked this. I think that it's something I'm going to bookmark and save for personal and professional use. I want to hear from you guys, the more that this community builds. What are you guys doing for self-care? How are you implementing it? Shoot me a tweet when you guys are doing something really fun for self-care. Right in my Discord. That's a command that works. Pop in my Discord. There's a mental health channel in there. Show me what you're doing for self-care. Talk to me about what you do for self-care. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the conversation. Definitely over an hour this week, which is really cool, and I'm glad that we were able to hold this conversation. I hope that you guys benefited. I hope you guys learned some stuff. One last time here. Whoa. Stop it. What's happening? There we go. No problem, Roz. Thanks for stopping in. It's good to have you in the stream for a little bit, and thanks for the resub. The link that I just posted, not the MooBot thing, but the thing that I just posted is the 8 areas of self-care graphic that I was reading off of. It was not something that I created. It was something I found and really liked. The credit, again, goes to habitsforwellbeing.com. So that's where I got this from, and I think it was really great. There's definitely some new things that I learned. I hope you guys learned some stuff too. Jesse writes, let's see if you can do a longer one for the 3rd episode in a couple weeks. Maybe. I mean, honestly, the time... Yeah, here. Hold on, Nate. Do I know how to use a computer? No. This should work. I know, only I can link. I didn't know who's going to be hopping in. So I need to start adding some mods. I'm actually surprised I don't have Roz as a mod. So, but Joe, if you're down, I'm going to do the thing. And Roz, if you're interested, I just like you. So, but just kidding. But there you go. There's the Discord link. Also in my info section, or if you're on a computer down below, there's links to, actually, I don't think there's a link to Discord down there, but there's up here-ish. Nope. I can't do doesn't matter. Up in the corner somewhere on my screen, because I can't figure out how to do mirrors, and I was freaking out just then, and like these people are watching me do the hokey pokey. That's my socials, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And yeah, so I think that, yeah, cool, I do. Cool. See you later, Jesse. Yeah, Jesse, we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch for sure. So I will be back on October 10th. You guys can send me on Twitter, Instagram, even on YouTube if you comment on one of my videos, any types of topics that you'd like to see on the stream. I'm definitely down as long as I feel comfortable talking about them in this forum. But I'm going to be back on October 10th. My thought for right now is to maybe discuss some self-care, we just did that, is to discuss coping skills. I have a really cool handout. I'll see if I could find it online because that's where I got it originally. I'm thinking about talking about coping skills, how they relate to what we talked about tonight. And yeah, I really appreciate, thanks Nate. I really appreciate all of you guys. And let me know, by the way, Nate, if that link doesn't work, but I'm pretty sure it should. Anyway, I really appreciate everyone coming out. This is a lot of fun. As I mentioned to you guys the first week, this is a passion of mine, is just being able to have casual conversations about mental health counseling, but also just everything that is involved with taking care of yourself and your psyche. So thank you so much. Oh, that's okay, man. Yeah, go ahead and join. By all means. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will be back on October 10th with this type of stream. And then, as some of you guys know, I'm usually live during the day on Wednesdays at some point. There's not really a set time, but you can always put on the bell the bell if you want alerts when I go live. But you can definitely find me here every other Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, talking just about something related to counseling, mental health, very casually. So this has been episode 2 of Therapy Thursdays. I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Thank you guys so much, and have a really, really good rest of your evening. See you guys next time.